make sure that my talents were in play, if you will, or put in. But I soon realized that doing that, my talents grabbed the let's more of the attention in a conversation when I thought about what to do. So I've made an effort out of trying to, well, let's say when I'm professional, when I'm coaching or doing leadership management development, to sort of forget my own talents. So I put them in second row because otherwise I think that they'll, well, at least in my case with Maximizer, I have a tendency to see you can do better, and I don't put it into an American sandwich bowl. So, so I'm pretty straightforward with that.
You don't sugarcoat it. That's what we call sugarcoating it in the
Yes,
South.
yes, yeah, I know, but so I've sort of made an effort out of trying to key down my talents and try to focus on the other talents at the other persons or the teams as such, and then try to be the little chemistry enzyme that get things to do without my own talents being involved. That's
It
my
allows you
experience.
to be so observant.
Yeah, that too, and I think the other part is it allows me to be question ready instead of answer ready.
Yes.
So, so we're
Okay,
3 minutes before
3 minutes.
deadline.
So I will start
Gee,
preparing. So I start.
Tina, Tina, are you really sure we should do the introduction in Danish?
No, I think we'll start in English. We
Okay.
go all
I
in.
mean, that would be unfair onto Rhonda. That's
Yeah.
my value system.
Fairness, belief. And if you would like, please share, Rhonda, so we can have some listeners. And it will be available for all our group members in replay. And we will put it on YouTube, and we will share it on LinkedIn as well. I just did an update right now on LinkedIn, so we will put the replay on LinkedIn as well. And we have a lot of followers on LinkedIn, so that will be nice.
So I can easily sense that you feel at home in front of the mic and the camera.
Yeah.
But this is a sort of, for me, it
Yeah.
is a sort of breaking new ground.
Oh, yeah. I'm a yappy one. I have no problem being on.
Okay. I'll just
I don't know how to share it from here, though.
You should do it on Facebook on your.
Gotcha. Okay, let me go.
So we're live
do
now,
that.
right,
We
Tina?
are live.
Okay.
1 second. 1 second.
So while you are sharing our Facebook live stream here,
Actually, they can't see us. They can't see
not
us.
yet. I thought you had it live.
No.
We'll just have to wait for the cue.
So people are used to this kind of thing, right? As we get ready.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we are live.
We're live. Hello, everybody.
1 second. 1 second. Yeah, you should see us. You should share on the group, you know, so you can see it on my page, and then you should put it on the group.
Where is it in? Am I going to your personal page or
Yes,
your business page?
My personal page.
Okay.
Just a
Not
minute, and
showing
I'll
up for
have
me. Oh,
shared
yes, here we go. Yay.
a little pre.
So are we on Facebook? Are we live?
At least I see the posting, and I've just shared it to the better you.
Okay, great. So we are live, and we have this amazing guest, Rhonda Knight Boyle. We will introduce you in a little few minutes, but welcome, Rick. And do you have experienced any great news since we were on the last show, or have you anything new, amazing to share with us?
Share with our listeners or our viewers. Well, I had two things that I wanted to bring to the stage. One of the things is that I had the opportunity to work with the talent profiles in regards to resilience or robustness, and that brought me to the conclusion that there are more in the subject of resilience or robustness in regards to profile, at least in the commercial part or where you work or where you are employed, because there's another story to each talent, not only what it does, what it brings of value, what it brings of added value to what kind of situation, because used in overdrive, and these are my words, overdrive, for instance, I'm going to say it in Danish because I cannot really remember all the other words, but if you have some of the talents which are goal-oriented, if they're let loose in overdrive, then suddenly the physiological side of it is that you get stress, or that the body breaks down if you do it for too long. So I had a lot of, both in dialogue with a couple of people that I'm coaching, and then also with the couple of not physicians, but the therapists that are treating people with stress. And I'm not going into the part of helping people that has stress, but perhaps we can do some sort of, let's call it preemptive program with a given talent profile, so that they don't fall into the stress ditch and have to let go of their life for a certain amount of time. So that's one of the things that I've experienced this week. The other part is that I had sort of all the good things that are in talents, all the good things with strength, all the things that they can do, all the things they can accomplish, all the things that they can put into a situation, and when it becomes a strength and it adds value in the workplace. I've also sort of stopped and thought, how can we put it into a perspective of what kind of mind traps do we typically as people fall into? And I fell upon 7 bullets that for me were sort of, perhaps therapists and psychology people, they have known them for a long time, but at least for me, these mind traps of making hasty conclusions, having tunnel vision, being able to enlarge, decrease the focus, the self-reproach, the ability to blame others or overgeneralize, or mind reading. These are 7 known mind traps that I really want to dive into for, let's say, the next part of my future with talents, because there's clearly a way of trying to understand your talents from another perspective, not as strength oriented, but some way of dealing with the talents. I think we can, at least that's what I want to try to work with.
Great.
That was what I've experienced if I go into the helicopter from a meta perspective.
And I had an amazing day yesterday, and I was working 12 hours, but I came home like this. It was a great day. And that was because I actually went for a client in Jutland, and we started building up a persona to how to recruit more similar profiles in the future. And in that persona, we use the talent themes. So now we are working on what kind of talents does this organization need in the future in their candidates. So it was an awesome day for me yesterday, and that I think is the future. But now we are going to the big moment. We have to introduce Rhonda. And Rick, would you like to introduce Rhonda?
Yes. As you can see, we have Rhonda in our feed here, and I've made a little script, or Rhonda has made it, and I'll do the honors of introducing it by reading it up for you, because I don't think I could ever reach her level of insights into talents or strength as you have, because Rhonda Knight Boyle is a transformational leader teaching strength-based process through workshops, corporate education, and group coaching. She's the author of several books, most recently the international bestseller, Turning Talents into Strength. She's also has been a part of the strength movement since, the better part since 2008. She's also a certified law of attraction facilitator with a special emphasis on neuroscience principles.
Wow.
And as such, I think this scene is pretty much up to you in the sense that we've given you some answers before here, and you feel free to take it from here. Am I being too direct?
No, I'm very excited to be with you. I told my news feed people, hey, I'm in Denmark, y'all.
Yeah. And where is Denmark, Rhonda?
Yeah, I tell you what,
Holland?
I was saying, it's over there somewhere. That's all I know. But thank goodness that in today's world, we have the ability to connect with one another through technology, which is how I met Bettina, 6 or 8 months ago. And so we have become techie buddies, and so I'm just really happy to be here with y'all and to talk about strengths, which is my absolute favorite topic. I'm truly a strengths nerd, and I love working in this arena of personal development and transformation. So
Great.
yeah.
And Rhonda, I've been following you, I think, over a year now, and you actually inspired me and Rick to do the live shows here in Denmark. So it's amazing to have you as our guest today. And I think I remember a little story. I think you often tell it about how you became interested in the strings and the story about ideation and school and so could you, before we dive into your talents, could you please share the story that inspired me so much?
Oh, you bet. Well, I was introduced to the strengths movement by my husband actually in 2008. But before that, I remembered a time when it was actually 2005, a few years before that, when my dad passed away, and my brother and sister and I were going through a box of memorabilia, and I found my second grade report card, and I got unsatisfactory in behavior. So the teacher, say again?
In general, or is it the topic of behavior there were?
Well, yes.
Never mind. You found it.
No, the teacher had actually pinned, she said, Rhonda will not sit still. And then the second comment said, and she won't stop talking. And then she went on to say, Rhonda is not living up to her full potential.
Okay.
Well, at 7 years old, I wouldn't have been able to spell potential, nor would I have known what it was, but already at 7 years old, teachers and people in authority were putting me in a box of negativity, really, when those were actually the signs of natural giftedness. And it wasn't until 2008 when I was like pretty close to 50 when I found out about this assessment and took it and discovered that those were actually gifts, because my whole life people have, it's too much of this and too much of that. And it's learning how to manage those things that has been the road of discovery over the last 10 years.
Could you please share your top 5 talents with us?
Absolutely. So I use the Clifton Strengths Assessment, and they have identified through that I am ideation, number 1, and number 2 is woo, probably no surprise there. Number 3 is maximizer, number 4 communication, and number 5 activator.
Okay. So, and what's your favorite talent? Can you say that? Do you have a favorite?
I do have a favorite. My favorite is communication, because I can use it in so many different ways. I can talk. I have no problem taking words out of your mouth and putting them out into existence. So I, enjoy presenting and being in the front of the room, training and teaching. I like being in front of the camera. I have my own show. I love writing. So I'm a prolific writer, just little drops and things everywhere, all over the internet. And so, I love words, turns of phrases, metaphors, and I use them, in a way that's fun and engaging, I think, now that I know what it is. But that is, in fact, my favorite.
And you're good at it. I've already noticed 3 or 4 examples of it.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
but
you.
you put it in other words, you're a playful soul in the present. You like to dig into things and see what they are and address them and put them into perspective and talk about them, looking at them from different sides, playing with them. So, I mean, there's a lot of things. And and woo, yeah, I've seen examples of that too. it You
Those
you
people
can't
need
hide
a
it.
nap after they've been around me. Y'all may need a nap after we get done here because I do bring a lot of energy to the table. And, that awareness, having the awareness of that first of all, there's nothing wrong with me. That was the first experience that I had where someone identified this energy
Mhm.
that is so external and that's so big because it's maximizer.
Yeah.
And I felt good about it. People had told me my whole life, I wish I could bottle your energy. I'd make $1 million, and I wish they had taught me how to do that because then maybe that's where I'd be. But, that explains something for me. It explains why I need and must have people. I must be around people. hmm And so now that I know those things, it allows you to go beyond what society says about you
So
and
was that
embrace you.
that
hmm
what do you call it in English? That insight you got, which liberated you from the prison you were in. How did that come about to give you see yourself as a strength instead of, let's say, like your teacher said earlier, like she's not living up to your full potential? That insights or that liberation, was that my words now, but was that your full potential, or is it bigger, or is it have you come to think about your potential of your talents?
Oh, yeah. It was the beginning. It was just like the epiphany, that
Epiphany.
profound moment.
Mhm.
And then came the recognition of being able to manage and it just made me more aware, first of where my power was,
Yes.
and secondly, how to modulate that and nuance it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Master it.
hmm
Oh, yeah.
Because, my communication talent, as much fun as I have with it, the pastor at my church would not appreciate me yapping while he's preaching.
You're the same audience.
Yeah, I figured that out, I think, around 10, and then might have still gotten in trouble.
But
you're
Rhonda, how do you use your talents to coach other people today? How do you do it in US today?
How I do it usually is over the internet. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
well,
Yeah,
Or just which talents do I bring to the
how
table?
do you bring
Because
your
I really
talents
believe
into
that,
how do you bring your
yes,
talents into the coaching situation?
yes, and I think that's where people, they don't really recognize that we bring perspective, we bring active listening. My number 6 talent is input, and that is probably one of my most powerful talents. I lead with input in the coaching situation because I have a craving to know more,
Yeah.
and that brings up my individualization because I'm looking and asking to find the uniqueness of this person. And of course, my maximizer is always in play, saying, how can we go from good to great?
Yeah.
Because I think the beauty in a coaching situation with maximizer is that we have the ability to see the very best of someone and who they could be. And when we tell them about that, it inspires them because truly, truly, deep down, they know. There's a knowing when you use those words. When you use their words to lift them up, there's a knowing that is sparked within them.
I've had that epiphany too, that it brings so much life to people's faces, their gestures and stuff like that. So once you hit that core of your
Exactly.
talents, they sort of, it sets them free from, well, like you said before, that box that you were personified in earlier by your teachers. So, but just the other day, I talked to a person who gave a feedback to, let's say, a son of a family, which in general was very, very goal oriented, result oriented, doing things, action, etc. And he was not. He was more of the related type of thinking about people, feeling people with his talents, and he always had a conflict with his family. I'll say his or her so we can anonymize him or her. but
Sure.
after him or her had her talents described to him or her, it sort of broke the ice in regards to having a different conversation with his family, especially his him or her parents, because otherwise he would have been thought of as a, let's say, not a pariah, but somebody who was the black sheep of the flock. If you and but I I saw.
As an activator, I resemble that remark.
Yeah, I get you. So, but
We get in a lot of trouble sometimes, and make a mess as we go along when
yeah,
we're in overdrive, as you call it.
yeah.
Yes.
So without boundaries.
But
So
Rhonda, could you share with us how long are you in the US about using this way of looking at people as seeing their talent and develop it into strengths? How big is it in US today?
Well, I think that it is really still the beginning of a movement,
Okay.
because a lot of people are introduced to strengths through their work and then it doesn't go any farther.
Okay.
So 20 million people, almost 20 million people have taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment through around the world.
Yeah.
So it's, it's coaching is still, we're still looking at elevating coaching in the entire marketplace,
And you're doing a
because
great
it's,
job about that. You are in the SOA and you are all places trying to
well,
do that.
again, I am in all places because I've got that woo and connectedness is coming up and I got to go find my people. Where is everybody?
perhaps we
So
should
it's
tell
like
what
gathering
SOA
them
is.
in.
Could you share with
Say
us
again,
what
I'm sorry.
SOA is, Rhonda?
Yes, I'm happy to share what SOAR is. SOAR.com is a platform for coaches to be able to run some significant parts of their business and to be able to have lead generation opportunities and coaching opportunities as businesses developed in certain categories of their ideal client. So it's brand new. It's a startup, and I'm pretty excited to be part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But all the coaches, is the strength coaches or is it all kind of coaches?
It is going to be open for all kinds of coaches, and we have strengths coaches on there who are, for example, wellness coaches
Okay, great.
and financial coaches and so forth. Like they help coaches with, they help people with different aspects, faith and family coaches. They are strengths centric right now, just as the startup is launched. And then the vision for future is being able to support all coaches that have anything to do with uplifting humanity.
Okay.
So it's really more of a movement, and a platform for coaches, really for coaches to come together.
Okay.
That's where our power is coming
and
together and all of us being part of the conversation of coaching.
Okay. And Rhonda, when I listen to your show, you have all kind of guests, but it's my impression that you use this what's it called? Strengths-based
Activation.
yeah. When you use that, you also use it for marriage. You use it for children. You use it in all kind of situation now. Is that correct? Or yeah.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of this assessment, is that it crosses all boundaries of your life. It can be used in civic. It can be used in, civic work. It can, when you're working with nonprofits to make sure that everybody has the right seat on the bus.
Yeah.
And that they're all working together in their strengths, because you have limited discretionary talent there. Unpaid talent, and people want to give and contribute in ways that are innate within them. And so nonprofits, it works in with sports teams, In fact, I have somebody y'all ought to interview sometime who has worked very successfully with a young high school or I believe it's a high school sports team. So there's no application that cannot be used with strengths, in my opinion. Marriage, family, understanding your children and how they are innately gifted so that you don't put your expectations on them.
Yeah.
And instead, you allow them to be nurtured and developed around their natural giftedness. So that's Clifton Strengths also has an assessment for young kids too,
and
ages 10 to 14.
And for people owning their own businesses is also one of the good things.
Yes, there's a business assessment called the Builder Profile, and that identifies natural talent and thinking, how you think and behave, patterns in business. So there's a full umbrella, a full process or assessment options under that Clifton Strengths umbrella. So I want to make it clear that I don't work for them. I am a Gallup certified coach with them and think very highly of their tools and the work that they do. I mean, they are on a mission to change the world, and I am like, yes, I'm on board.
You're on the bus.
And that's right, I'm on the bus, and I'm yapping. I'm doing my favorite thing.
Yeah.
That's talking. All day long I can talk.
Did you have any question, Rick, or?
Do you see any places? What do you see where it's going in the future? Can you see it as a, let's say, mandatory or obligatory for starting at the university, so that you can fit into the study teams, etc., just as examples, or do you see it like say that we have, let's say, an attribute system of me as an employee, every time I go look for job, I hand over my strength, instead of having lots of let's say profiles that you carry around your own attributes, and those are the one that you put into, let's say, into to talking about them, etc. But what are your thoughts?
I hesitate to use words like mandatory.
Well, but as a program,
I think, yeah, I certainly think that encouraged is a great thing. And I work with other coaches who help people with career decisions based around their natural talents, and that's exactly what people should consider. It's probably the most important thing that they should consider in career development. So if I can offer, I see a different picture. For the future, I see parents starting to spot talent in their children. That's where it needs to begin. It needs to begin in the home. I believe that parents are their children's first teachers. And so if we can get parents on board who can then imagine at the kindergarten, in the kindergarten classes, instead of getting a report card, that the children got a portfolio showing signs of their giftedness and ways that they see their children stepping up to contribute and to solve problems and to think and bring up deep, important topics that don't make sense to anybody else,
Oh, that would be
at that
amazing.
age. Yes, but can you imagine that? And then imagine as they move into adolescence between the ages of 10 and 14, that they finally get to have words for the gifts that they have, like presence and order and so forth, where parents can start to play and help children play to their talents and their children's giftedness. And then and think of the confidence that kids would enter into those most formative years of I don't know what it is for you, but that adolescent age, they've got so much going on, but they were able to step into it with more confidence because they knew who they were. They were reminded since the beginning of who they are. And then as they grow into, late teen, they take the Clifton Strengths Assessment, they take the BP-10, the builder profile, to see if they have that entrepreneurial mindset, or where should they direct their college. I am connected to so many people to help kids do this. And so for the future,
We see that. Yeah.
it's got to start there. And once we start there and we build momentum, and coaches lock arms to refer one another and to help one another and to get the word out about coaching and how powerful it is to have a neutral perspective helping you navigate life, business,
But I also see it
relationships.
I also see it like now we have millennials coming into the job market, and all the parents have been telling them, you are so unique, etc., etc. And mom and dad had helped them a lot with their football coaching or whatever it is. But now if you use this language, now you can go into the company and you have your talent. So if you talk with the young millennials about what they are, what their talents are, and how we can get them in play in the company. So somehow you build a bridge, and perhaps they will not experience so much not knowing that they are good enough, because we have just extended the language a little bit. What do you think about that, Rick? Could we do that in Denmark?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, okay. But Rhonda,
Okay, so let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Rhonda, could you have written this book, and can you let people know a little bit about your book and where to find you if they want to learn more about you?
I would love to. I would love to make one quick comment about millennials before I do that, if you're okay.
Yeah, yes.
So here's the good news about millennials. They are amazing
Yes.
kids. I say kids because I can.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to be their grandma. So anyway, these kids, these young adults, they are open to mentorship.
Open to
Yeah. So what better way? Yes, they're open to coaching and mentorship. So what better way than to introduce them to a tool and then help them understand the depth of the results and how they can use this tool for their entire lives, their career, their family, their marriage, their civic work, and so forth. So I think that's where we go with millennials.
Yes, I totally agree. And in all European analyses, it states that that millennials all over Europe wants to have their talents in play, and they want to find jobs where they are cultural fit. So that's a great starting point with the talents talk. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Yes, yes.
And so the next best time is right now. So let's go plant some trees and change the world. It takes time and effort, and I'm so glad that y'all are on the cutting edge of societal evolution there in Denmark.
Well, and it's just it's more fun to talk about all the things that you can, and why not do that? Why use your time? It's short on earth here. Use it on talking about what you can't do with you. That's totally wrong in my perspective. So I totally I am on your bus, Rhonda. I want the seat.
Well, let me know what I can do to support y'all.
Yeah.
Before you talk a little bit about your book, I'm sorry to take 2 or 3 minutes more because this is so interesting. Let's say one of the paradigms from a commercial side is driving your organization or your company as a learning organization. If you put on those glasses, I see you have glasses on now as I do, but if you put learning organization on them, what do you see? Is that knowing your talents, knowing your, let's say, strength? Are there any strengths that are not suitable for a learning organization? Or are most of them, all 34, are they contributing to a learning organization? I think they are, me myself, but if you put on that perspective, what are your thoughts about learning organizations and then talents?
Learning organizations, do you mean school systems? Is that
More commercially, in the sense that many companies say that,
training and facilitating?
yeah, well, it has to do with the agility, with the ability to learn on the spot, because the market is pushing you, etc. So you have to learn as you do. You cannot sit back and hopefully think that your products will be here 10 years from now, because there are other products pushing you. So you have to learn as you drive your organization or your company. But what do you think? What are your thoughts? It's a big topic, I
My
know.
thoughts about yeah, I'm trying to figure out exactly if I'm understanding the question. You're
Yes.
wanting to know how each talent
Yeah, in
can
general,
contribute
or
to
yeah,
a training organization.
not as such training, but how can the organization adopt talents as such, the person as a talent, and the person's individual talents? Is it
Gotcha.
is can the company really be can they be efficient on it? Can they cope with it? Is it a problem as such, or whatever?
So, meaning now let me make sure I understand. It's how the talents of each individual come together to meet the goals of the company.
Yes,
Yes,
learning,
yes. So,
learning as you go along.
yes, yes. So it's interesting because I've been reading, and on my show we've been talking about this book, which is
Okay.
this is the Strengths like Bible. It's not really, but
Uh,
I use that word loosely, but this was written by Donald Clifton, and he is the grandfather of positive psychology. So he is the one who created and developed the Clifton Strengths Assessment. But he says that complementary partnering is not what you think.
Complementary
He said
partner.
it's not matching one person's strengths to the other person's weaknesses and vice versa. Instead, it's the combining of each person's strengths to achieve a goal.
And
So as
in
long
that,
as you are on the same page with your goal, then
mhm,
each person's approach, you're able to team your talents to move forward. So the work still has to be done, and so
did you,
sometimes some of that work may be hard for both of you or any of you or any company,
I
and it
think it
still
is.
has to get done. So, but you still get to me, it's still a matter of being able to tweak around and doing the best job fit in each thing that has
Okay.
to be done that you can.
Okay. Yeah.
Is
Uh,
that did I answer the
plenty,
question, I hope?
plenty of thoughts and plenty of things for me to think about.
Great.
So
But Rhonda, tell me a little bit about your book, and the time is
Yes.
actually a little bit up. So tell me about the
Oh,
book
okay.
and
Quick. Here it
yeah,
is. It's called
yeah.
Turning Talents into Strengths. Stories of Coaching Transformation. And I actually collaborated with 12 other coaches, and we each wrote a chapter, and it's beautiful stories of how people's lives have been changed through coaching transformation. And so that's really where it's about for coaching, is for people to have a transformative experience with a coach and be able to learn more about themselves and then apply something. So that's
Okay.
what that book's about, and you can find it at all retailers. There you go.
Uh, And where can people find you, Rhonda, if they would like to connect with you or learn more about your talents and etc.?
You bet.
Mm.
You can find me at rhondaboyle.com, and you can find me on Facebook at Rhonda Boyle. And I'm also the owner of the group The Very Best You, which is focused on strengths and talent development.
Yeah. And you do a lot, you have a lot of interaction with your followers, so I will really recommend to follow you. And you also do the
Thank
coaching
you.
all over the world, so there is no excuse for no development. So it was a great honor, Rhonda. I know you have been up
Thank you.
early today, and it's been a great honor to have you on our show. We very much appreciate. Do you have anything you want to say at the last year, Rick?
no, no, I have more questions, but that'll have to wait.
Yeah.
We'll just be talking after the show, I'm sure.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. But thank you, Rhonda, and thank you
You're
to
welcome.
all of you that listen to our show. We will be back in about 14 days, so have a nice birthday.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It has stopped.
It has stopped.